You're walking through your house at night and a floorboard creaks behind you, no one else is home for half a second before your rational mind catches up, your whole body reacts as if something is there, your heart rate spikes, your skin prickles, you spin around ready to face whoever or whatever made that sound. Nothing is there, it was just the house settling, the wood contracting in the cold, but your brain didn't wait to find that out. It assumed a presence first and asked questions later. That instinct is older than religion, older than language, and older than fire, and it may be the single biggest reason ancient humans looked up at a thunderstorm, a solar eclipse, or a raging river and decided that something was in there, something that could see them back. For most of human history, the world was full of events nobody could explain. Lightning split trees in half, rivers flooded without warning, the sun disappeared in the middle of the day. Diseases swept through a camp and killed some people while leaving others untouched. There was no germ theory, no meteorology, no geology, there was only the event and the terror of not knowing why it happened. Modern humans tend to imagine our ancestors as simply ignorant, filling gaps in their knowledge with superstition because they had nothing better. But the cognitive scientist Justin Barrett offers a more precise explanation, and it starts with a small mental shortcut baked into how your brain still works today. Barrett calls it the hyperactive agency detection device. It is a built-in bias toward assuming that ambiguous events were caused by an agent, some being with intentions, rather than by a blind physical process. A rustle in the grass might be wind, it might also be a predator. If you guess wind and you're wrong, you die. If you guess predator and you're wrong, you just feel a little silly. Over hundreds of thousands of years, that asymmetry shaped the brain toward assuming agency first. This is why you feel briefly watched in an empty room. It's why a strange shadow at the edge of your vision reads as a shape, a figure, rather than nothing at all. Your brain is running the same threat detection software your ancestors used to survive the night. Now scale that instinct up from a floorboard to a thunderstorm. Lightning is fast, violent, and completely unpredictable. It has no visible cause to a brain wired to search for intention behind unexplained events. A bolt of lightning doesn't look like static electricity discharging between clouds and ground. It looks like an act, something powerful, something with will, is doing this on purpose. The anthropologist Pascal, who has spent decades studying why religious ideas appear so consistently across unrelated cultures, argues that this is not a coincidence of geography or culture, it's a consequence of how ordinary human cognition responds to the unexplained. Separate societies across separate continents with no contact with each other independently arrived at the same basic move. They took the frightening, unpredictable parts of nature and gave them a mind. Once you assume something has a mind, you can do something you couldn't do before, you can try to negotiate with it. A blind physical force cannot be reasoned with. Lightning does not listen, a river does not care, but a god of storms, a spirit of the river, an ancestor watching from beyond, that can in theory be pleased or angered. It can be offered something, it can be asked for mercy. This is likely why so many ancient religious practices center on ritual and sacrifice rather than simple belief. Belief alone doesn't calm anyone down, action does. If you think the drought is caused by an angry sky god, then dancing, chanting, or offering grain isn't just superstition, it's a coping mechanism disguised as diplomacy. It converts helpless terror into a plan, and having a plan, even one that does nothing physically, changes how the human nervous system experiences fear. Think about what an unexplained threat actually does to your body. Your stress systems can't easily shut off when there is no clear endpoint, no action you can take. Ambiguity is exhausting to a nervous system built for immediate threats with immediate responses. A predator you can fight or flee, a drought with no visible cause and no obvious solution keeps that stress response running for weeks, sometimes months, with nowhere for the energy to go. Giving the drought a face, a personality, a set of demands, gave ancient humans something a raw natural process never could. A way to act, even if the ritual changed nothing about the weather, it changed something about the group's psychological state. It offered a script, it turned passive suffering into an active response. And that shift alone would have reduced the day-to-day toll of chronic uncertainty. There's a similarly compelling idea from the anthropologist Stewart Guthrie, who studied how often people see faces and figures in random meaningless patterns, clouds, rock formations, the moon. He argued this isn't a glitch. It's another expression of the same underlying bet. When you're not sure whether something is an agent or an accident, treating it as an agent is almost always the safer error to make. So when early humans looked at a mountain and saw a sleeping giant, or at a sun that vanished during an eclipse and saw a hungry god devouring it, they weren't being foolish, they were running a very old piece of neural code. The same code still active in you tonight when a shadow moves and your pulse jumps before your thoughts do. Here's the twist. This instinct never actually left. It didn't disappear when telescopes explained eclipses or when meteorologists explained lightning, it just changed targets. You still see faces in electrical outlets, in the front grille of a car, in the arrangement of 2 windows and a door. You still feel a flicker of unease when your phone buzzes at 3 AM. With no obvious explanation, some quiet part of your mind briefly wondering if it means something. You still whisper, "Come onto a slow elevator or a stuck laptop," as if persuasion might work on a machine the same way ancient prayer worked on a storm. That's not a modern quirk. That's the same hyperactive agency detector, still scanning the noise of daily life for hidden intention, still preferring a false alarm over a fatal miss. What changed wasn't the wiring, it was the world around it. Ancient humans lived surrounded by genuinely unpredictable, genuinely dangerous unknowns, so their pattern-seeking brains found gods in nearly everything. You live in a world with far fewer literal survival threats, but the underlying software hasn't been updated. It still looks for agency behind randomness, purpose behind coincidence, intention behind silence. So the next time a floorboard creaks in an empty house, or a shadow shifts at the edge of a dark room, notice what your body does before your mind catches up. That brief certainty that something is there, watching, deciding what to do next. That is not a modern glitch in your brain. That is the same instinct your ancestors used to build their gods.